So I want to talk about getting over your fears of education. I know some of you are going back to school or thinking of going back to school, and this is a really big thing for many of us of dealing with these fears of education. Honestly, I feel like this a lot, and I felt like this throughout my history in education. I'm a first-generation student. It was always a really big and daunting thing. And, education, higher education in particular, wasn't sort of a big thing in our family. So it was a challenge to deal with this. I actually want to talk about getting over your fears of education because I think it's a really important part, especially for those of you who are older and you're thinking of going back to school. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out. The first thing to realize is that everybody is sort of afraid of new experiences because you don't know what to expect, right? Like it's a big different thing. You have no idea. The stuff that you see on TV in terms of what education actually looks like and higher education looks like is often sort of misrepresentative of what really is going on. There's a lot more to it, and it's a lot more like normal life. It's very much what an office life is going to be like, except for you're just learning a few things. There's a little bit different in terms of what you're doing, and you're asking questions, right? So, here is how I have learned how to deal with my fear of education, because it was a real thing, and I'm not as afraid anymore, and I kind of interact a little bit more. But I still deal with this, right? So if I see somebody that's that is another professor that's more distinguished, or they're in another area, I get these kind of like butterfly feelings because I was like, oh, I'm not as good as you, and you're so much better than me. But I've learned how to deal with some of these things. So the first thing I think is important is remember to lean into those fears. Like, what do I mean by that? Well, acknowledge that they actually exist, and that's not a bad thing. And then, really think about what is going on. Why are you feeling like that? And then, deconstruct why you're actually feeling like that. Like, go through those experiences and really think about why that is going on. A lot of people are really afraid of education, and there's really nothing to be afraid of. There's kind of like basic things that you learn, and nobody should ever feel afraid. And what is driving you to feel afraid, I think, is the important thing, right? Like for me, I felt kind of alone, and it was just me. It was me against the world. That there was a lot that was going on, and I was kind of doing this to prove to the world. It's my way of rebelling of all things. But thinking about that, what is driving you really, it's helped me in terms of realizing, hey, it's me just trying to figure out how to fit in and to feel like normal in this world. And I was putting on such a crazy, pedestal that it drove a lot of behavior. So thinking about how to lean into that is really important. Another thing that's helped me many times, especially when I get super nervous, is to think about, fear and excitement are really the same thing. It's the same response that you're getting. Enjoying my coffee. Those really, they end up sort of manifesting in the same thing. And if you sort of think about the fear response that you're going to get when you're jumping off of the Empire State Building, it would be the same thing that you'd get in terms of excitement, and you'd feel all the same emotions. So framing it as like, hey, maybe I'm actually just excited. I'm not afraid of education. I'm more excited about to see what's going to happen, and I'm going to learn a lot. The other thing is that everybody else around you, all the other people around you, are going through the exact same experiences. They're just not as open as you are, or they're not Googling it or whatever, right? I realize that this whole YouTube channel is driven by people searching at 2 a.m, of like, what are they going to do, or how I feel about this kind of stuff. So, realize everybody else is going through those emotions, and it's not a big deal, honestly, because everybody else is doing the same thing. We're all in the same boat. It's all, we're all jittery and stuff like that. The fourth thing, and I think this is really big for me, and I'm still getting over it, is really realizing that nobody else is really better than you. It's a big thing when you come from first generation. For me, we didn't. I mean, we had enough, and we had a nice life, and everybody was fine, but we weren't sort of we considered elite, I guess. It's totally lower middle class. Somewhere probably bang on in the middle in terms of middle class. Realizing that nobody else is better than you, and we're just kind of totally normal, and everybody that even if they have education, it doesn't matter that, if they're looking down on you and they are making you feel bad, like if they're doing that sort of condescending stuff, they're not nice. They really are the ones that have the problems, and they have to get over that themselves. It's not you. It really is not you. And that's what I'm hoping to tell you, is that knowing that if anybody's condescending and they're making you feel bad, it's really on them. You should never feel bad with any of this kind of stuff. Yeah, there's frustrations, but you should never feel bad. The other thing with education, we often put it on like such a pedestal, right? College and university, and I'm going to university, and all of that kind of stuff, right? But I mean, all you're doing is just reading a couple of books and talking a little bit. There's really nothing that you should be like, oh my god, like that's really it. You're just reading a couple of books, you're thinking, you're talking, and you're just interacting. That's really it. There's nothing else that you do. And yes, you do change, your ideas change, you have these mind flips all the time, but honestly, like, who cares, right? You're just reading a couple of books. It's not a big deal. You're just talking a little bit. There's, other people that you talk to. It actually can be really enjoyable if you're kind of in the right group, in the right sort of circle, where it does become like, very interactive and stuff. And that's fun. And you have to realize that that's going on. And so hopefully this helps with getting over your fear of education. I know it's kind of daunting for many of us. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'm supposed to be some highfalutin professor and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care. So just realize that this is life, and just enjoy it and have fun. It's just another way of flowing from one thing to the next. And your friend group, you might have a great friend group. Maybe you're at the gym or whatever, and you can hang out and chat with them. Just think of education, people that the ideas that you meet in the books and stuff like that. That's all it is. You're just having a conversation. It's pretty cool. All right. So hopefully you like this. Give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.